everyone. I am here to talk to you about how I bound my pasta madre or Lievito Madre, or however you want to call it. Ultimately, the stiff starter that you use to make panettone. So I get a lot of DMs asking me how do I literally do it? How do I bind the starter for the overnight maintenance or long-term maintenance in the fridge? And so I wanted to show you how to do it and show you the tools that I use, very minimal. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'll tell you what you need. You need a little bit of rope, something to roll out your pasta madre, scissors to cut the rope. You need a towel, or ideally you get something like canvas that's really tough. Sometimes some towels can sort of rip if the pasta madre gets really strong. I've had ripped towels. This one tends to be pretty good. And then you need some form of plastic that you can wrap the pasta madre in before putting it and wrapping it in the towel. Okay, so the first thing to do is and I let my pasta madre rest under this bowl for a couple of minutes so that it gets more extendable and easier to roll out. And so the first thing I do is I'm going to show you how I roll it out. And so just so you guys know, I've already laminated it twice, and I usually do 3 laminations, and I'll show you just one of these. So then I do this, and then I'm going to do just one more lamination. So literally the same way that you make croissants or puff pastry, you just want to roll it out. You do want to make sure that you're sort of not pushing it too far for the sort of membrane to break on the outside of the dough. So you want to be forceful like this, but not too forceful because we don't want to rip or upset. Okay, so now that you have this right, we want to roll it up. And I guess I can just make it a little bit longer for a sort of visual effect, but this is pretty good for me. If yours is too wide, you can also sort of fold it like this, especially if you keep it in sort of a water maintenance and not bound. I like to do that sometimes as well. Then you roll it up into a roll, right, like this. And you get a nice little roll, nice little sausage. And you see how when you let the pasta madre rest for a little bit, it becomes this beautiful smooth dough, and that's because I let it rest. Okay, all right, so that was step 1. All right, step 2 is to take some form of plastic, right? I use a Ziplock bag. They're pretty tough, apparently Texas tough. I get mine at HEB, and they last a while. So obviously we're all very eco-friendly and want to be nice to the environment. So use a form of plastic that is reusable. Okay. Then what I do is I put my pasta madre inside the Ziplock bag. So obviously it's just being, there we go. I fold over the corners this way. Okay. Roll it once, fold it over one more time, and now roll it up and roll it up until it sort of folds on itself and can sit like this. And then I'm going to get my towel ready. So the next step is to wrap it in a towel. Obviously, before we do that, we need to have a piece of rope ready. And I already have one that I reuse all the time. But I know that this can give some people some anxiety, and it took me a while to kind of figure out how to do the knots. So let me just show you, like, as if I didn't have this, right? So I'm going to take a pretty long piece of rope. And you can make it as long depending on how big your pasta madre gets, but you want to be able able to sort of wrap it at least twice lengthwise and maybe twice or 3 times around. And you'll know what I mean a little bit later. I think this is a good size, so I'm gonna cut it. Actually, maybe too long, but you know, for the purposes of the video tutorial. So then I cut it, and let me show you how I do my loops. This is by no means how everyone does it. This is how I do it. This is how it works for me. It's the easiest way for me to do it, so I just want to share with you all my way. Okay, so we are going to be, I'm going to be showing you how to do the first loop. So you want to take the end of the rope and you want to make a loop about this big, right? I mean, do it according to your hand size. Then you loop it, push it forward, push it through the hole, and make one of these knots. And so you want a knot at one of these ends. You can make it as big or as little as you want, whichever is easiest for you in your sort of hand size. Okay, so that's the first important loop. So let me show you what to do next. Now that we have our starter nicely wrapped up in our plastic bag, we put it at the end of the towel. And in theory, if you had a nice piece of plastic that really looked like this towel, you would do the same wrapping. So I usually do sort of 2 rolls. Then I fold over on one side, fold it up like this. Then I take the other side and fold it up like this, just to make sure there's not too many creases and folds. And then I just roll it on itself as many times as it needs. So looks like a nice little roll, and that was easy, right? Super easy. Okay, so the next step is to bind this roll with this rope that we made. So the first, I don't know what step we're on, to be honest. So you take the end and you put it through this hole to make another loop. You see how there's a loop now? You want to put this loop around the pasta madre. And I usually do it like this just so that it doesn't unwrap while I push the rope around it or bind it with the rope. And then you want to create a little bit of tension, kind of not too much, not too little, because this thing is going to be expanding, but we also want to keep it contained. So it's kind of a good amount of tension, but not enough to kind of like suffocate it, if you will. And so this would be our first loop. Then we do, let's see the size of this rope. I usually do 1 more, right? And if you have a wider one, you can go kind of more sections across, and you can see tons of examples online. And then with 3 of these, what you want to do, this is probably the most kind of weird, complicated part, is you want to make another loop right about middle, right? And that's why it's also important for your pasta madre to kind of be the same size every time, so that these loops add up and you don't have to like make new loops. But it's okay if you do, like I've done that. If I feed my mother sort of a different amount of flour and it's a different size. So what we do now is we literally do the same thing we did in the beginning in terms of making the first loop. So I'm gonna try and demonstrate that efficiently or effectively. And so I wrap it around my finger, push it through the hole, and then pull it out like this, making another loop. You can see how it's nicely in the middle now. And that's because we're now going to bind it this way. So I hold it right here with my thumb, right? And then to help myself get it through the hole, I go like this, and then I push it through, right? And then I pull it this way, that way creating it a cross section. And then you go 1 more, 1 more. You know, you want to create something of this pattern, just so it sort of goes across. And then we want to make sure that we kind of make another loop or tie the knot, but not tie it to the point where you have to use scissors. The next day, you want to be able to unloop it without cutting it. So what I do, and this is what I do, if you know how to tie knots, do not listen to me. If you are somebody who kind of is like, oh, I could use an example, then you can use this as a visual example. So you have this. So imagine this is the last time you loop it around. Then you want to find one of these to pull it under, but don't pull it all the way through. So you want to kind of create another loop, and then you see how my finger is going like this. You pull it out again, like bunny ears, and you pull on this, and you make bunny ears. And this way, right? If you do it this way, if you do the bunny ear technique, all you have to do the next day, once it's expanded, and it's like then, however many hours you keep it at, whatever temperature you keep it. I keep mine at 16 Celsius for about 18 hours, and then you just pull on this bunny ear, and it comes undone, right? That way I don't have to get scissors involved, I don't have to waste any rope. I can just reuse it. And so you go under, don't pull it all the way through, do the bunny ears, push it through, and there you go. And then you kind of tighten it up. You either pull it this way or you pull it this way. And there it is. Look at this, it's so pretty. And now it's ready to go into the fridge for overnight maintenance. It's also ready to go in the real fridge. So I sort of build a wine fridge type of situation where I have a temperature control gauge where it stays at 16 Celsius. But if you only have a real fridge and you don't bake a lot of panettone during the week, you don't have a lot of production, you can just put it in the fridge in this state and then feed it depending on your schedule, once a week, bi-weekly, whatever the ratio that you fed it. And so that's it. A kind of an exciting video for me to make, because you all know I've been a little bit obsessed with panettone this past year. So just wanted to show you how I do it. If you want a video of me showing you how I maintain it in water, I can do that and show you how I do that as well. But yeah, this is the bound method. I was intimidated initially by doing something like this because I was like, I don't know how to tie knots or use rope. But if I figured it out, you can too. So please, if you have any follow-up questions, put those in the comments. Or of course, feel free to DM me and we can sort of chat offline and I can hopefully help you. All right, that's it for me. We're sort of both saying bye to y'all, and thanks for watching.